Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Nomkhita, 1 billion rand turnover in the last financial year. How has a company managed to do so well in the current economic climate?
Well, I think I must correct that because the 1 billion rand was the previous financial year. If you talk about this past financial year, which ended in March 31st, 2015, we came in just under that as well. But having said that, the reason that we did as well as we did this year is that we did focus a lot on cost containment as a company, but also that we believe that we could do better as a company going forward.
Now, for a state-owned company, you seem to be doing very well. What are you doing differently that other entities are not able to ensure that they perform?
Well, I can only speak for Safcol. I believe that what we've done in the past, I've been with the company just under 3 years now, and I think that what we've took over is from the work that was done by our predecessors in terms of making sure that the company is stable. So we also have been working on a number of strategies. The first one was really focusing on stabilizing the company. The second one was around cost containment, making sure that we live within our means. It is important to note that Safcol, being a state-owned company, does not get any grants from government. We have never received any grants from government, and we basically live within our own means as a company.
Now, Nomkhita, about 61% of Safcol's land in South Africa is subject to land claims, with some seen as more serious than others. How are you dealing with this? And it seems to be a big problem. What is your reaction to this?
Well, from a Safcol perspective, we believe that land should actually be handed over to its rightful owners. So our relationship with the land claims is actually not negative. We would like to see a situation where the land eventually is handed over to the owners so that we can become a partner of choice in terms of partnering with them in the business that we do. So the only thing is that as Safcol, we do not have the jurisdiction within which we can then do the land claims settlement. So in that area, we work with the relevant departments, including the Land Claims Commission and the Rural Development Department. So we work with them in terms of making sure that the models for settlement are actually those that the beneficiaries or the claimants would also wish to participate in.
Now, Nomkhita, Public Enterprises Minister Lynn Brown has come out to say, despite your best revenue performance in 5 years, a different way of doing things is needed to sustain the cost of much needed funding for projects. What have you got to say to that?
Well, the minister was right in that, because what we did look at was the fact that our business model was not optimal. So what we then did was, if you look at what we do, we basically in the business of planting trees, and 93% of the trees that we plant is pine, and the other 7% is hardwood. So what we usually do as a company is that we process, which means we take into a sawmill about 25% of our raw material, and we sell 75% thereof. Now, that is not a sustainable business model in any industry and in any sector. So when the minister pointed that out, she was very well in line with the strategy that the board and the management had put before her to say that we do need to start doing things differently, because the bulk of our business was primarily, or our product was going into construction industry. But now we do need to start looking at beneficiating, but also get into the area of vertical integration, where we take our product from plantation all the way to the market. And that's what the minister was talking about in terms of doing things differently, because our focus was only based on selling to someone else who then started making money from our raw materials.
Nomkhita, let's speak to community skills development. What is Safcol doing with regards to you being based in mostly rural areas in terms of developing people in those areas?
Well, the first thing to mention is that from a shareholder point of view, which is the Department of Public Enterprises, Safcol was given 2 mandates. So we work under dual mandate. The first mandate is that you must be self-sufficient. Government is not going to fund you. But at the same time, you must also be a catalyst in terms of rural development and economic development in those areas. So I must say that Safcol has been quite good in terms of delivering on some of those mandates. One example is the number of jobs that we as Safcol create in the 3 provinces that we're basically operating in. We have about 5,000 people. This is both direct and indirect jobs that we do. So that is the first thing. But the second thing is that Safcol has become so good in terms of engagements with the communities. We have a model that we are actually quite happy to share with anybody in the country who would like to share with us, because it's seen to be working. We have signed compacts with 13 of the communities around our plantations. And within these compacts, we are guided by the land claimants themselves who are part of this, as well as the community members and community leaders, together with staff of Safcol. So what then happens is this is a demand-driven kind of a community development strategy where we are listening to what the community says. So mostly the community will say we are looking for a school, or we need a community hall, or a creche, or anything that they wish to do. So we would make sure that they get that. So basically we have a program that works, and we're quite happy to share it.
Nomkhita, thank you so much for joining us. That was Nomkhita Mona, the Group Chief Executive Officer of Safcol.